Pinpoint weather on NBC5 News is brought to you by the Cow Creek Umpqua Tribe.
Hey, welcome back at NBC5. You can see that smoke and haze out there to start off this Tuesday morning. It is also warm at 70 degrees. No change in that temperature compared to yesterday morning at this hour. Wind speeds have calmed from a little bit of the thunderstorm activity to kick off some of those wind gusts throughout yesterday afternoon. We see a lot of the smoke filling in this morning. This is all coming in from the immigrant fire up around that Lane and Douglas County county line. We also have the Dillon fire down here in western Siskiyou County. We see a lot of the smoke again coming in from the more active immigrant fire this morning. And watch what happens as we're getting through today. Well, this is all going to be filling in, and latest guidance just now bringing in the Dillon fire. You can see that smoke kind of settling in across portions of Northern California, but the main smoke producer here today is coming from the fire up north. Immigrant fire is going to be filling in our eastern counties with some of that denser smoke. So keep that in mind. Again, watch air quality as we're getting through today. That could also take a dive in terms of conditions throughout this afternoon. We'll get a little bit of a clearing happening here for tonight, but you see still with the active fire tomorrow, still likely to see that smoke filling in across northern Klamath and Lake County, which means if you're heading up to Crater Lake, you're also going to be dealing with that smoke as well. When we look at headlines here for the next few days, well, we're still going to be dealing with the storm potential throughout this afternoon as well as into Wednesday. It's going to lessen just a little bit into Wednesday afternoon, but by the end of the week, the forecast does quiet down throughout this weekend. More sunshine, but again, still likely to be dealing with some smoke and haze. And it's getting hot again today, just not as hot as we're getting through the rest of this week, which is some good news. Now, with the thunderstorm activity, of course, with the hot and dry conditions, we still have the red flag warning in place here for today with the abundance of lightning, some stronger wind gusts possible with these thunderstorms on that dry vegetation could start and spread fires very quickly, like what we saw with the Dillon fire yesterday. And you see through this afternoon, we start to see that kind of showing up into Siskiyou, Modoc County, and then we'll get into some activity out into our eastern counties. And we're not out of the clear in the West Valleys. We could see some of these isolated cells like we saw yesterday developing. So keep that in mind if you're out and about. Again, lightning is going to be a main threat from this. When the lightning roars, make sure you're heading indoors. Don't be out in these conditions. Into our eastern counties, could still continue with cloud cover, might even have a few showers here into the nighttime hours. And most of the activity for tomorrow looks to be from the Cascades and areas west. Still might have an isolated shower or storm in the western half of our area, but we'll start to kind of quiet down a little bit more into Wednesday, but there's still that thunderstorm potential. And again, you see some of the wind gusts kicking up with this activity for this afternoon into the evening hours. That's the outflow boundaries from these storms, which could bring in some erratic and gusty winds. 90s to triple digits here for the valleys. We got the 80s out into our eastern counties, 60s along the coastline. Not a huge difference from yesterday, but as we're getting through the rest of this week, our highs will drop down a little bit. We'll drop down just a little bit more for this weekend. And then the forecast dries out with more sunshine, morning temperatures cooling as well in the upper 50s. So that is some good news. We're getting out of the triple digits, but still closing into some seasonal, slightly above seasonal temperatures. Klamath Basin, we got some around seasonal average temperatures going throughout the rest of this week. After Wednesday, we'll get into a drier and quieter forecast and a lesser potential of any new fires. Northern California also seeing the thunderstorm activity today into Wednesday and then clearing out to the east after that. Heavier rain going into parts of Idaho and Montana for our eastern half of the state as we're getting into the next 72 hours. The coastline, though, they are staying quite dry besides some fog in the morning hours and a little bit of some cloud cover. High temperatures in the mid and upper 60s.